One of the challenges that I had internally as an Asian American, Filipinx American person in the United States, um, for me, I realized as an undergraduate student that I wanted to go into education. Um, and help people from the same background that I had. But there wasn't very many people from my community in the education field. At least not that I knew. I wanted to work in higher ed to help uplift communities like myself, particularly also my community. But there was no framework because there wasn't very many, Filipinx educators that I was aware of. And so that becomes a challenge, when you look at like modeling, like, oh, I want to be like this person, I see this person on TV, or I have these kind of role models. That really didn't exist, at least for me, at least in my vantage point, that, oh, I could do that. I see somebody that looks just like me doing this kind of work. There was, as an undergraduate, I went to San Diego State, and I did have, finally, because I transferred, I did have a counselor, and he really inspired me to become a counselor. But prior to that, it was very rare to see, people from my community in the education space. But I did realize, while I was going through college, how important education was. One of the ways I overcame it was really just kind of reaching out. It really was. Anza actually helped with that. I went to a conference after I had finished my master's, when I finished grad school, looking, for employment, looking for where my skill sets were valuable. I found Anza. Never heard of Anza, but I saw that they had the AAPI grant. And so I went to a conference on a whim that Anza was presenting at, just so I could meet the people, because it seemed like really important work, because they were built a learning community and received federal aid to support Filipinx students. And one of the things that really inspired me was when I went to the workshop, I saw that the administrator that was leading the AAPI grant at that time was Dr. Rowena Tomaning, a Pinay, from Southern California as well. Pinay meaning Filipina, like a Filipinx woman, and that really inspired me, because I had never seen an administrator from my community. At the time, it probably really didn't exist. I think she might have been, probably one of the highest ranking of our community at that time, being an associate vice president. And so, for me, it was just going out and trying to find ways to get involved. Also, find ways to kind of motivate myself to do this kind of work, which I was motivated. But when you don't see people from your community, you kind of wonder if you're supposed to be in that space. Even though I was very passionate about helping people achieve an education and change their lives, if you don't see people from your community there, you just kind of maybe don't feel like maybe you're not welcome. But meeting Rowena kind of changed my life, and so it was really important, and I eventually ended up working with the grant and working at Anza, and I've been here almost 10 years now because I was so inspired and motivated by the work that was happening at Anza. But one of those big takeaways that I had was seeing somebody like me in a leadership position in education. It still inspires me and motivates me till today.